Hi guys, welcome to my 10-minute tutorials. Today we're going to work on Firefly, TT Basana, and I was just going to show you some postures and things to work on to help prepare for this posture. So Firefly pose is an arm balance, but it also requires inner thigh adduction, so drawing in towards the body. And it also requires hamstring flexibility. So there's a lot of prep poses. You can also use blocks to help you. So if you have blocks at home, I would grab blocks for this. I changed locations, so I don't have blocks today, but I'll explain what you would do with the blocks if you have them. So the first thing that you can do to really work on the core strength and arm balancing strength is to practice Lolasana. So just taking your hands besides your thighs, maybe crossing your ankles, rounding forward, pressing into the mat, and then trying to lift the hips. And I'll turn to the side so you can see. So you're trying to lift the hips off the ground, and then eventually working up to lifting the feet off the ground towards the butt as well. And then if you're crossing your ankles, switching sides. So if this is too challenging, I would recommend practicing with your hands on blocks or books just to get a little more height and actually work towards lifting the heels off the ground. So another posture that is really helpful is humble warrior. So working on inner thigh adduction and also finding that flexibility through the groin. So humble warrior, from warrior one, you interlace your hands at the low back, and then you fold forward, eventually trying to get the right shoulder inside the right knee. And in humble warrior, I'm squeezing my right knee in towards my shoulder so that I'm trying to really work through the inner thigh muscle. So I'm not letting the knee splay out, I'm not letting the right hip pull forward, I'm hugging everything in. And this is sort of emulating one of the actions that will happen while we're in Firefly. Another thing you can do to work on this is to take lizard pose, so have your right foot outside the right hand or left foot outside the left hand. And you'll have the back knee lifted. So instead of a resting lizard pose, you'll keep the back knee lifted. And then you'll start to shimmy the right shoulder underneath the right knee. So you'll grab the right ankle with the right hand, try to shimmy the shoulder underneath the knee, and plant the right hand outside the right foot. You can stop here, or maybe you'll try to work on lifting the arms. So here I'm really squeezing my inner thigh in towards the body, adducting, same action. Maybe I'll even go for a bind behind the back and try to lower the hips, lift the gaze. And then just hold and breathe here, and then make sure to do both sides. So you're working both sides. In Firefly, we have both legs doing that action. Another thing about Firefly is it's a big hamstring stretch. So a thing that you can work on is just your wide-legged forward folds, whether it's seated in Upavishta Konasana, or if you're working on maybe feet mats with distance, working on tortoise pose, starting in your forward fold, and then maybe eventually trying to shimmy the shoulders underneath the knees and reach the hands back for one another at the low back, trying to re-straighten the legs. And breathing. Good. So those are some great prep postures for Firefly. To bring the whole thing together, if you have blocks at home, I put the blocks right behind your heels, and you'll have your feet about mats with distance, maybe a little bit closer. You want to just be able to get the shoulders through the legs, but not have the feet be much wider than that. So what you're going to do is, we'll actually first take a Malasana yogi squat. So just getting this action of sitting the hips down. You're gonna take the same action by sitting back, but on the triceps for this pose. So this is also a great prep pose for Firefly. So you're gonna lift the hips halfway, and then you're gonna do what we did in our lizard, but on both sides. So you're gonna grab underneath the ankle with one hand, shimmy the shoulder underneath the knee, and then you're gonna take the other hand underneath the ankle, shimmy that shoulder underneath the knee, so you have both knees as high up on the shoulders as possible. And from here, you're gonna bring your hands behind the heels. The reason why having blocks there is nice is it helps eliminate that gap between the hand and the ground, because right now, I might not be able to reach the ground completely, so you have to just trust that when you shift your weight back, the palm of the hand will come down into the mat. But if that scares you, having that block there to add a little height will be really helpful. From here, I'm gonna keep squeezing my knees into the shoulders, so they're really working here, adducting towards the body. I'm gonna create a little shelf with my triceps, so just like chaturanga arms, I'm gonna bend the elbows straight back. I'm gonna gaze forward, and I'm gonna sit back on my triceps. Good. So that same sort of squat like we did in Malasana, but now sitting back on our triceps. From here, I'm gonna lift my gaze. I'm still squeezing my knees into my shoulders, and I might start to walk my toes in towards one another. Good. Eventually, you might wanna hook the feet, finding Bhuja Padasana. Good, and this is just a great place to hang out, maybe working on straightening through the arms, or keeping the elbows bent, and just squeezing everything in. Over time, and as your hamstrings start to become more flexible, you might start to straighten the legs, and you can practice having the body parallel to the mat. Some people like to straighten the arms all the way, lower the hips and lift the feet. That one's a little bit harder for me. So there's a few different ways you can approach this posture. Also remember, since you're putting a lot of your weight on your wrists, like any arm balance, you want to make sure that the wrists are nice and warm, and maybe to give them a few wrist rolls or stretches before and after working on this posture. So hopefully that was it. Over 10 minutes. Oh, it's under 10 minutes. So since we have a few more minutes, other things that you can work on for this posture, any arm balancing like crow pose or working on your chaturangas are going to help you with any arm balance. You can take any hamstring stretches will help you to fully extend the legs over time, and to just get the shoulders further underneath the knees. Humble warrior, lizard pose, maybe finding that bind, taking both sides. Great prep postures. If you have any other questions though about this or what it looks like with blocks, just message me after, and I hope everyone has a great day.